Most people probably know Mario, the vaguely Italian ex-plumber whose most frequent job is to save mushroom people's human princess from a spiky boastful turtle king from his 2D and 3D platforms that have been released on all of publisher firm Nintendo's home consoles. For those of us who didn't have access to the Beat Kid machinery, we had to get our Mario platformer fix from the handheld devices that were mostly filled with ports. However, that would turn out to be a blessing in disguise because they were also graced with these role-playing ventures. So it's time to start a retrospective on this spin-off series' highs and lows with the first entry from 2003, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. Directed and written by Hiroyuki Kubota, who is involved with the later titles as well, this game is actually not Mario's first foray in the role-playing realm, as it was preceded by 1996's Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars and 2000's Paper Mario, from which the latter became its own successful spin-off series. Nevertheless, the game would prove to be not only one of the highest-selling titles on Game Boy Advance, but also important in expanding the Mario lore. Though I'm not sure how canon these games are supposed to be. Are all Mario games canon, or is this more of an expanded universe kind of deal where you can choose? Whatever. Let's start our story with a diplomatic meeting between two neighboring kingdoms.
Psych! The diplomats turned out to be the wicked witch Cacletta and her dastardly disciple Fawful, who stole Princess Peach's voice in order to use it for sinister world-dominating purposes! As the result, the princess is only able to speak in literal F-bombs, so Mario and his arch-nemesis Bowser of Koopa Kingdom make temporary truce in order to kick some bean behind. Also, Mario's brother Luigi gets dragged into the adventure too. These parts showcase the strength of comedy in not only this game, but Mario and Luigi series as a whole. The first installment seems to lean more towards physical side as it wants to take advantage of the lively sprites, but there is plenty of humor bone-cracking verbal jesting as well.
Understandably, there's not much room for fleshing out characters, but because of the constantly entertaining comedy barrage, the story structure doesn't need that. Not that there's not any suspense in the plot, mind you, it has quite many twists and turns, but it's fairly downplayed.
The plot's busyness is reflected in the gameplay as well. Aside from roaming on the best foreign diplomacy trip ever and beating up the local fauna, which I will get back to in a moment, there's several different minigames, collectibles and bro abilities that can be used for simple puzzles. In this game's case, puzzle simplicity doesn't bother me, because due to the game's livingly colorful graphics and vibrant music, strolling is a pleasure even on multiple playthroughs.
The other half of the Mario and Luigi experience is its innovative combat system, where the brothers are able to dodge enemy attacks if the player times it right. So yeah, it is technically entirely possible to go through this whole game without getting a single point of damage. I didn't manage to do that due to ring rust and using keyboard mess with my muscle memory, but the combat is solid overall. For its time.
It suffers from the usual problem of the genre in that at the beginning, when there's not that many attack or item options yet, battles can feel monotonous, but this thankfully changes fairly quickly. Somewhat. As you are able to use bro moves in the overworld, you can also use them in combat by consuming bro points that are this game's mana, and if you perform them successfully enough times, you'll get advanced versions of the moves. It's all fine and cool, but unfortunately if you have played any of the later installments, Superstar Saga's battles may feel not complex enough in retrospect, but that's more on me. Also, due to the extra items you can find, it's possible to make the combat overly easy, and personally I dislike when I have to actively dismiss a game's handouts in order to get the amount of challenge I want.
Though, from what I understand, the original Super Mario RPG's difficulty was even easier to break, so it could have been worse. I did once try a playthrough where I fought only against the bosses, but I don't recommend that, it just makes the battles last absurdly long. Despite technology marching on in some of its aspects, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is still a masterpiece of its genre.
funny and engaging, the game offers charming characters, lots of stuff to do to keep people out of boredom, and a battle system that, while not as advanced as its later iterations, decently tests your skills. I guess with those who haven't played it yet, you're better off with its 2017 Nintendo 3DS remake that as a bonus content adds some strategy side story, but I have no experience on that version, so I have no opinion on that.
This retrospective will eventually continue on the next handheld console generation with Partners in Time, and since I don't have a €500 3DS capture card, I'm going to have tough times ahead. Before that, I shall talk about an equally beloved but less successful cult classic adventure from the same year as today's subject. Until then, thanks for your time.